This is my first experience of watching Lily Gladstone. I don't believe she has worked quite often. I think she is still new to the industry. As far as her performance is concerned, I think she has done her role very, very well, without a doubt. But it wasn't an award-winning presser at all. She was in intense race with Emma Stone for Poor Things in almost all award functions. I didn't find Lily's performance as a winner. She surely has to be one of the best performers of 2023, but certainly not the winner. Hey everyone, the Dark Knaik is here. Set in the Oklahoma of 1920s. Mollie Kyle, a member of the Osage Nation, marries in the white Catholic family of William Hill to his nephew Ernest Burkhart, a World War I veteran who recently moved back to the state. William Hill is a reserve deputy sheriff for Fairfax, who built a fortune by stealing the Osage people's wealth through insurance fraud. With the marriage follows a series of murders of her family and the members of the Osage Nation. Mollie faces a difficult time in seeking justice as she raises her doubts over William Hill. Killers of the Flower Moon. This film is based on David Grant's non-fiction novel by the same title. Osage Nation is one of the old American tribes of the Great Plains. In the 19th century, these people were forced to relinquish most of their remaining ancestral homelands and were relocated to Pawhuska, Oklahoma. In the early 20th century, the oil was discovered on their land and they had retained mineral rights on their reservation. So that made them rich. Now, what kind of Americans will not like these Native Americans becoming rich? Of course, white Americans. Remember this guy? The Confederacy guy? Remember his cornerstone speech? No, I'm not offending anyone at all. This is the tragic chapter. This is one of the tragic chapters in the American history. So what William Hill does with them is mastermind a heinous spate of killings with the help of his nephews Ernest and Byron by targeting wealthy Osage people, including Mollie's family. This film indicates that the white American men in those times were marrying wealthy Osage women for money. Killers of the Flower Moon is a 3-hour and 26-minute film. 206 minutes, making it one of the longest films ever made in the modern age of the American film industry. Plus, it is deep slow, so it is painfully a killer. But if you go with a flow and try to understand the artistic image of the film, it will not trouble you. It will not bore you. Martin Scorsese returns on the director chair, so there is no question about the craft and the visual artistry. That still holds the distinction about shooting the best out of a story. Take a look at the raw attraction of a busy Oklahoma street where Ernest meets Mollie the first time. Scorsese glimpses many kinds of business runs and hence shooting it so meticulous. Was there a need? After all, the whole shot was about Ernest meeting Mollie. That is it. But if you understand the heart of the drama, all these forces attract and gives you a wonderful image of one cinematic catch rolling in the camera. Scorsese filmmaking philosophy always gives value to a classic zooming shots on the characters. It is the artistic way of engaging the audience into a visual attraction, like Ernest coming out of train, a one shot of Hale's household before Lizzie sees an owl, or Ernest and Mollie setting up to bed only to be disturbed by a shocking bomb blast nearby. A sudden outburst in the court hall when Hale's attorney demands to confer privately with Ernest. Even after 50 years, Scorsese and Spielberg are the only two active directors whose old school filmmaking still maintains that directional substance and the finest craft work. The story was concluding with much anticipation until some radio drama at a theater chose to reveal the aftermath. There can be several theories and opinions about the film concluding with that particular scene instead of those characters. The first thing is that the story of this film would have never ended with whatever the fate Hale, Ernest and Mollie met. Secondly, if the film was supposed to assume the fate of all the three major characters, would have taken extra hour for sure. And the film had already crossed 3.5 hours. So did the film stretch way too long? So they were unable to conclude on a better note? To add the value of complimenting this film, I feel it is important to mention a few names whose contribution excelled the film. If Eric Roth is screenwriting a film, you must know that he has done a huge favor on those who are expecting to watch a quality film. You can observe a tremendous balance in writing of 3 parts of the story. One of the aspects of Scorsese films that augments the continuity of the story is the background score. And Robbie Robertson once again has been a pillar to a Scorsese film. But he did this favor to Scorsese for the last time, because before the release of the film, Robbie Robertson passed away. There are pieces in the film that will tune your eardrums. I like Robbie Robertson music when the Osage people discover oil and also when Hale burns down his own ranch. But the one technical quality that always impresses me about a Scorsese film, including Killers of the Flower Moon, is the editing job. Thelma Schoonmaker is one of the major reasons of Scorsese's legacy, whose almost entire editing career is built on Scorsese films. And also, most of Scorsese films are edited by Thelma Schoonmaker. I don't know how big was Killers of the Flower Moon if the final cut was 3 hours and 28 minutes. So it is more difficult to edit the lengthy films because all those scenes in that lengthy film must be meaningful to the audience before it bores them and ignite criticism. Hardly do I believe if the film wasted any resource. I don't remember when the film troubled me. But yeah, like I said before, that the film was slow to me, but it never bothered me because I went with the flow of the film. When you drop yourself into the story of a lengthy film, you just don't realize how lengthy that film was. And to be honest, the length of the film doesn't bother me at all. It is not even my concern in the first place, because if there is finesse, if there is craft, and it is all a fine work, if all 3 parts of the story of the film, that is the beginning and the middle part and the ending, is done the right way, if the characters are well baked, then the length of the film will not matter to me at all. I can comfortably watch a 4-hour or a 5-hour epic film. Just to mention a few about the editing class of the film, observe the court scene, or when Anna fights Byron, or when Ernest goes out to check which house was bombed. Easily the most anticipated factor about this film is the first collaboration of Martin Scorsese's 2 favorite actors in 30 years, Robert De Niro and Leonardo DiCaprio. This was DiCaprio's 6th film with Scorsese and De Niro's 10th. But both actors never worked together in a feature film directed by Scorsese, 2 of the biggest legendary actors of their times. It was worth a wait as they were terrific in their roles. Their togetherness was not exaggerated at all, but respectfully stuck to the narrative and lived their roles. DiCaprio was Hale's nephew, Ernest, who was stuck in the line of fire, melting in the flames of injustice between Hale's fraudulent cruelty and Mollie's slavery to time. Almost every of their conversations were interesting and the shots were well written. Be it their argument after Ron's killing, or Hale asking Ernest to sign, or when Ernest informs Hale that he will testify, or Hale beating Ernest at the lodge, and many more. This is my first experience of watching Lily Gladstone. I don't believe she has worked quite often. I think she is still new to the industry. As far as her performance is concerned, I think she has done her role very, very well, without a doubt. But it wasn't an award-winning presser at all. She was in intense race with Emma Stone for Poor Things in almost all award functions. I'm yet to watch Poor Things, so I cannot judge how Emma Stone was. But I didn't find Lily's performance as a winner. She surely has to be one of the best performers of 2023, but certainly not the winner. Perhaps the media companies, critics and journalists have been very sympathetic towards her performance due to what the character suffered and went through extremely difficult times. Plus, people love interesting life and career stories, especially from a non-white background. So that made a strong case and made Lily Gladstone the first Native American to be nominated for the Best Actress at the Oscar. I don't think that Martin Scorsese can make a bad film. But for a director like Scorsese, if I opine that Killers of the Flower Moon is not one of his finest works, let's say if this is not a top 10 film from Martin Scorsese, I assume I am not insulting him at all. That is the magnitude of bar he has set for himself from the others. A strong casting and excellent technical work. With a story involving or about Native Americans, Killers of the Flower Moon is easily the best drama film in years, or perhaps this decade. A tragic drama and a sorry tale about sickening greed and killing. A brave subject to race. The Native American injustice. A dark chapter of the old America. I'm Sunny Knaik.